What's up, everyone? This is Jay from Revolution Radio. So, today the CDC finally discovered what is going on with the lung illness and vaping. And they discovered it was vitamin E acetate that was added to THC cartridges. Finally, they figured that out. I posted a video back in September talking about how it was these cartridges, not the big vape rigs that you see. How many mainstream media and local news shows did we see where they talked about the horrors of vaping and the lung illness killing everybody? And they showed things like these pod systems up here, which even I'm not totally sold on. But they went after big vaping as well. You would see lung illness kills another, vaping killing others, and you would see pictures of RDAs and big battery devices blowing huge smoke. Yeah, while us vapors were screaming in a corner, no, this is clearly the sign of an outbreak. We've been vaping these products for years, and we've been fine. We even argue that these products, like the one shown here, is a lot better for children. Why is it better for children? Because they can't hide it. They could not hide those from their parents. They require batteries. I think you have to have like 10 different batteries, 20 tanks. You're doing all sorts of stuff. You need almost a room dedicated to vaping when you get into it. I'm kidding, obviously, but you really can't get away with hiding those bigger things. But that's the ones that they would show when they talked about lung illness. They wouldn't show these little cartridges and these little pens. And they're tiny little cartridge devices. There's ones that look like pens, and then there's one that look like little flash drives that are magnet, and you pop those little cartridges in there. They wouldn't show those. They wouldn't talk about them. And even for sake of showing how appealing these are to children, I included pictures on the slideshow of their marketing, which was full of pictures of anything from Super Mario and Pac-Man to blueberry candy and watermelon candy and all sorts of junk like that. But the CDC and the government and local media went after big vaping, went after what adults are doing. And the reason why I'm so mad is not just because they got it wrong, because they get a lot of things wrong, let's be honest. Especially if you've been listening to my channel, you've heard all the things that they've gotten wrong. And I'm just a moron in my office. They aided in the deaths of the people who died this month and last month when they knew what they had to say, what they had to report. Not only by not telling people what are the products to be wary of. We knew dank vapes was one to be wary of. We said you shouldn't be vaping these cartridges. I told many people stay away from this THC cartridges. They wouldn't report it. They wouldn't talk about it. So yes, people who got sick from about mid-September to now because of this is on their hands. Because what did they say? Don't vape e-juice. How many people you think put down their mod, their regular vaping kit, and their juice and smoked THC cartridges? Yeah. So anyone who did that, that blood is on the government's hands for not acting. Instead, if you ask me, they were trying to figure out how to get more money out of Big Tobacco, as Big Tobacco was trying to shut down vaping. And they were trying to loop all of this together so that they could ban vaping, get money from Big Tobacco, and still keep their weed money too. Only at the cost of small businesses. And trust me, small businesses, small vape shops have been hurting the last couple months. We've not seen this kind of decimation in small business. But why? Because they wouldn't report the truth. Now, in their study, because I understand what some people might say, well, they wanted to have a comprehensive study. That's why it took so long. You heard some information. Most of the vaping community heard some information, but you guys wanted to believe it, so you went along with it. Fair enough. Fair enough. So in the study that they cite, and this comes from CNN, um, they tested 30 subjects. There's 1,300. 30 subjects they could have had in September. We knew about over, what, 34 by September 18th, I believe. Could have tested them. And if any of you have ever had to, I don't know, pass a drug test, you know that these tests don't take months to do. But they were waiting and waiting for God knows what. Again, some would argue that they did it so that they could dwindle down vape use in vape shops. And there would be a sweeping movement in which whatever vape shops happen to succeed in not going under in these last couple months, the rest would be pretty much wiped out by legislation. Someone at the CDC came out and actually reported the truth, I guess. I don't know. Or more vapors came to show up for local vape shops than they anticipated. I do know a lot of people participated in calling, in messaging, and amazing activist stuff. Videos have been made. People like Dash Vapes have done so much. Grim Green has put in more than his fair share. There's going to be a rally at DC tomorrow on behalf of vaping. It's been like this for a while. The EU has released comprehensive reports proving that regular nicotine vaping is around 95% safer than smoking. Does that mean you should pick up a vape if you've never smoked? No. Don't put anything in your lungs unless you have to. But it does mean that if we're going to ban vaping, we should ban smoking first. But it really should just be reported all of the inaccuracies that we've seen in vaping. There was a story in Fort Worth where a local news team reported on a gentleman who had gotten this vape illness. After the segment had appeared, the gentleman featured in the video recalled it way different than the report showed. In fact, he noticed a lot of jump cuts. Because, namely, he told them during the interview, I've never vaped nicotine. I've only vaped THC. Well, they cut out where he said, I never vaped nicotine. They made special little things to make it look like he vaped big mods and larger battery devices when he didn't. He vaped small cartridges. Now, how did we know vitamin E acetate was used? We know it was used because it was reported on sites in July. You had to have been on your game to see that, but there is pictures around. I could not find any, to be honest, but I do remember seeing them when they came out, like at Dank Vape's website, when it did say additive vitamin E acetate. Most of that has all been completely erased and you can't find it. But that's how we knew it was vitamin E acetate. It wasn't us just covering up or, wishfully thinking. Do you understand how much vapors have been through? Popcorn lung, the devices blowing up. We have had to be very careful. I think that's why we have a safer product with vaping than you do with the THC cartridges. We've been through this. It literally is the free market forcing vape juice companies to produce a clean product. And understand that with the THC cartridges, most of these aren't even the ones that you're getting from Colorado or California or anywhere where it's legal. It's the ones that you're getting from Billy down the street who bought $2,000 worth of cartridges, had them shipped to his house. Then he says, hey, well, okay, I don't even know the price of these things, but I've got 4,000 of these cartridges. But I can make 8,000 if I add this additive in it. And I cut them all. That's how it's happening. And we could be on the alert for that, and we could tell people that if they would have reported it and if they would have actually been honest. Either way, it's incompetence or it's lying. I don't know why I'm surprised. You can ask many groups of people how often our government has lied to them or have just been incompetent. This is one of those situations that is close to my heart because I am a vapor. And the idea of not being able to vape anymore probably means I'm either going to tobacco flavors or I'm going back to smoking. There's the argument that sure, you're supposed to wean yourself off of all of that. Yeah, you're supposed to wean yourself off of caffeine too. How's that going for you? It's not easy. But at least if it's a safer alternative, it's better than smoking non-filters while I got some dip in my mouth. You understand what I'm saying? And if you've never tried to quit smoking, because you've never smoked, then good for you. That's awesome. And I hope you never experience what it's like to have to try to quit smoking, because it's not easy. It's very rough. Some argue that nicotine is more addictive than heroin, which is a perfect reason why you would ban all of it, not just one. But no. And on that line too, caffeine is also supposed to be more addictive than most street drugs. So, yeah. One last thing, as I'm finishing up on the CDC and the government either lying to us or being incompetent, or both, they're not mutually exclusive, um, is the different pictures that I chose here. I was very cautious because I almost did not want to show any pictures of the bigger devices because they often get a bad condemnation along with them. And that's not fair because they're actually the best devices out on the market. There is internal conflict with vapors about pod systems. I'm actually on the side who I actually don't like the pod systems. I think that they're great for beginners and for older people who don't want to mess around with all the buttons and the batteries and the tanks. And there's a lot to it. There really is. But on the other hand, I do see the aspect where they become really easy for a kid to use and they become really easy to conceal. You can hide. I mean, I'm not going to give all the places you go, but you can easily conceal these things, and people wouldn't know you're vaping, which is why I'm against them, and I don't think we actually need them. Most vapors are on my line because they use bigger devices, stuff that it becomes. I mean, if you get into it, it's a hobby. You've got a lot going on. And if nothing else, you've got batteries that you're changing out all the time. You've got a giant tank that's just producing quite a bit of vapor. Um, Much more difficult to hide. And that's why I say that these bigger devices are actually better than anything on the market, yet they're the ones who get the bad looks. But they're regulated so they don't blow up. They're big and bulky, and there's a lot to them, so you can't hide them. And they only take e-liquid. I'm sure you could crack a cartridge open and pour it in one of those tanks. I mean, it's possible, but why would you do it when you got the little cartridge? My point is I included them just to encourage anybody to look at the difference between all of the devices that are out on the market without having a negative perspective of just one. Because there's probably enough people that listen to this who don't vape and they don't understand what I'm talking about when I talk about the different devices. And definitely when you say carts, a lot of people understand what that means. It's the cartridges that are right on the screen right there. They're just these little tiny little things that you can put into different devices. They have a 510 thread they screw in, or there's a magnetic little drop type um, one hit thing. I don't even know the name of it. They're tiny little mods. That's all I can say. Anyway, if you guys have any comments, questions, input, I definitely welcome that. Just leave in the comment section below. Please like, subscribe. I can give you a quick preview of tomorrow's video. It's going to be about some things that were said on the White House lawn today, um, and a certain gentleman making some statements that went a little off the rails. But might I add, might save vape shops. I mean, and you know that I'm I'm a progressive, and I often don't report the best side of Donald Trump, but I will say on this one, and lately is a video that I am gonna put up about why I might vote for Trump in 2020. Uh, not exclusive, but there's some issues, and that is one. Kellyanne Conway put out a piece where she said that they will do a flavor ban, but it will exempt vape shops. That's pretty cool if you're a vapor, because that means you can still go to your local shop and buy juice. That means that you can actually get it where you're supposed to get it from. It doesn't increase a black market situation, and it doesn't hurt people's jobs. I haven't wanted to push that yet because it hasn't been announced. I'm sure I'll be announcing that next week on another vape video when I get to actually brag about Donald Trump. If that happens. If it happens, it may not happen. But anyway, um, so I just wanted to talk about that. And yeah, please like, subscribe, all that dumb stuff. Um, and check us out on Revolution Radio on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, all that other stuff. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Have a good evening.